This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
So I've been very vocal about my support of Sire instruments in general, and so the story, I don't know if you may have already seen this, but I bought a Sire bass quite a few years ago now, and I saw a lot of videos about the Sire guitars, and the Sire bass I thought was incredible for the money, and so for that reason I was like, I'm interested to see how these Sire guitars are. I've probably played about 10 of them by this point, I think, across the whole range. So this is the T3, which in the UK is about £369. I think it's a really good guitar for the money, and some of the other guitars I just think are really good guitars full stop, particularly if the spec work for you. So I think the one thing where they've kind of cheaped out on these lower end models is the pickups, which I don't know if you could see in the intro there, maybe are quite sort of thick, maybe a little bit dark for a Telecaster, maybe a bit high output. So I think these are ceramic. Typically you'd expect Alnicos in this type of guitar. Aside from that, I really like the spec on these T3s. You've got the same kind of specs on the neck, except you've got just non-roasted maple and a rosewood fretboard, which I think I quite like. Now, there is one brand, however, that if you're in this kind of territory price-wise, especially if you're looking at the T7, which is about £500, that I would recommend over Sire at the moment. Oh, no locking tuners on this as well. That's the other kind of key difference from the slightly higher end models. In general, they feel very similar to play, similar kind of fretwork, similar kind of specs, and similarly, you get like the odd kind of sort of finishing flaw. So I've tried to take some close-ups of the fretboard, which you can see There are some tooling marks, and yeah, so generally I think the feedback that I've had with people with Sires is that you love them once they've got them set up. Some people have found the frets to be a little bit flat out of the factory, as if maybe they're not always crowning them, and maybe the nuts sometimes are a little bit high. But in general, I think that the quality is higher than you'd expect for a guitar at this price range. I think that's been my experience anyway. But I had tried an FGN before, the Strat model, and then this year this one came up, and I think the FGN brand is a guitar that I would recommend across kind of all price ranges and to any kind of guitarist. I think these are genuinely pro level guitars, and you know, I'm getting a few emails sort of asking, is the FGN worth it in your opinion versus the Sire? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. I can't find finishing flaws on this in the same way that I can with the Sire. It's just really high level quality Japanese work. If you haven't heard of FGN, you've probably heard of Fujigen, who are the people that have made sort of Ibanez guitars for ages. All of the Japanese made prestige stuff is made by Fujigen. They've also done work for, I believe, Fender and other people in the past, but just basically a Japanese guitar builder that are doing really high quality work. It seems to me they're using decent quality woods. The only place where I think you'd raise an eyebrow potentially, I think they choose basswood for the body on the guitars. Typically you might find alder or swamp ash for this type of guitar, but whether that makes a huge difference or not, I'm not particularly sure. They do make a model with kind of normal tele pickups. I tried to favour sort of either the split or the bridge position so that you get a bit more of a kind of fair comparison there. You can split the neck on this, but in general I think these are a really, really high quality guitar. They've got this thing called the circle fretting system, which supposedly intonates slightly better. But in general, what you get is a guitar which is quite close to an Ibanez AZ, I would suggest. And you can see that kind of looks-wise, but also in terms of the dimensions of the neck and the feel of the quality of the guitar. I'm really impressed with FGN, and at any money, I think this would be a fine guitar, especially the fact that you can get these for kind of £550-ish. Very impressive. And as much as I'm a fan of the Sire guitars, if people are asking me, you know, would you recommend the FGN over those at the moment, I think if you can find one to try, you'd probably be pleasantly surprised. That's my take on it. I've only played 2 of them. They've both been really high quality. Let me know in the comments if you tried an FGN and had anything but a good experience. I'd be interested to know that. But I think, in general, a fairly solidly built guitar, decent specs, and kind of does all of those Teddy things. Oh, the split sounds like this. The general feel with the Sire, I would suggest, is still high quality, or still pretty good quality, but it just doesn't feel quite as refined. you've been interested in Sire guitars, I think still very good value. I just think that having now played an FGN in comparison, I think they are a step above in terms of quality and in terms of kind of bang for buck. I think their S-types are actually a little bit more expensive, but I think also in the used market you'd probably be able to find the FGNs. One other slight bonus is you get the belly contour with this, but neither of them have any arm contour, so both feel kind of Telecaster-ish. And then this one has kind of the Sire type neck access thing, whereas the FGN sort of just folds off the corner. Both perfectly playable guitars. I think I give the edge to FGN. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, and hopefully that helps any of you that had any questions about either or guitar. I just think the FGN really is kind of that pinnacle Japanese quality craftsmanship and stuff, whereas the Sire feels a little bit more rough around the edges, a little bit more raw. Perfectly decent, but playing them side by side, I think I prefer the FGN. I hope that helps. Cheers.